Oh, Dr. Stephen Okwori, is our guest. Apologies and a fine morning to you, Dr. Okwori. We meet again. We've been quite, sort of frequent with each other this week, haven't we? So, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. It's nice to see you again.
Indeed. We're talking security all over the place today. We've just heard at the National Assembly that they have indeed endorsed President Tinubu's request to deploy the Nigerian army. Give me your thoughts on that. I think we begin to know what the perspectives are, because you saw how the Senate seemed to be full of praise for the president's timely action. Is that how it's all about democracy? Is the way it has been phrased, that President Tinubu from the very, very beginning, in fact, when he came into office, you recall, democracy was at threat, and he stepped in, and that was sorted out. But it didn't go without criticism. But what do you think about this request of the president and the granting of it?
Well, if I heard you well, I can barely hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me well. I was talking about the approval the Senate granted to President Tinubu's request to actually deploy troops to neighboring Republic of Benin. It's been seen as Mr. President is right on the money. He has acted, boldly and very, very swiftly, and it is indeed much to be commended. So I was asking, is indeed that the way you see it as well?
Yes. You see, we're talking about the ECOWAS here, and the Republic happens to be a member of the ECOWAS as well. And,
yes.
The ECOWAS frowns at any military takeover in any country at all. And of course, you are aware what happened when there was a military takeover in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, and all that. And even the recent one, Madagascar, and even in Guinea-Bissau, the moment this coup happens, automatically they are suspended from ECOWAS.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened in Benin Republic, is a wave of coup that we are experiencing now. I want to commend Mr. President for what he did, if not for Nigeria. Benin Republic would have been under a military regime as we speak, and also commend Mr. President as well, also going through the process of the constitutional requirement that requires Nigeria to play a role, the military or our troops to play a role in countries like Benin, with regards to what has happened. Mr. President had to send his request to the Senate, and of course, the senators quickly looked at it and quickly approved of our troops' deployment to Benin Republic to also see how to ensure that there's stability and there's some kind of peace and sanity in the Benin Republic. The coup that we see frequently now, I think, is a wake-up call for our leaders, our political leaders, right? What is necessitating a coup that is happening almost frequently now? If you look at it, in the last 1 month, this happened to like the second or the third coup. Right. So it's a wake-up call for our political leaders to see that they give people, give.
Oh, okay. I guess you've taken a pause there. Just as you seem to be expressing some difficulty in hearing us well, actually, it's now turned the other way around. I had a bit of a challenge hearing you as well. I think we're going to manage.
Security.
Okay.
The economic development and all that. So.
Okay. So I was just saying that had something of a difficulty, hearing you, but I did get the gist of what you were saying. You approve. It is indeed what to do. I remember the president had said that coups have to be seen as a thing of the past. And against that background, when the president, well, upon being invited, Mr. President was invited into this, Nigeria, the help of Nigeria was sought in this, and it was determined that, it is the thing to do. President Tinubu being a foremost, democracy champion, and he had said that it will be severely frowned upon if, countries continue to think that they can go the coup way. Not that anymore. But the Benin was formerly, colonized by the French. Our president does have, a relationship, as it were, before all of this with the president of France. I believe that they are friends, but this is not a friendship matter. This is official business. Do you think France also, was part of this? Okay, we have that.
Okay, there's no smoke without fire, and yes, so there's a possibility. There's some kind of conspiracy if we begin to look at it in that regard. Benin Republic is like a younger brother to Nigeria. Of course, Nigeria has a lot of role to play in the development of Benin Republic. We share a common border. We speak almost similar language. We bear almost same kind of names and all that. When you look at Nigerians that share the border with Benin Republic, right? We go into Benin to carry out businesses, and they come into Nigeria also carry out businesses here. So when certain things like coup befall Benin Republic, there's serious role that Nigeria as a country needs to play. If not for Nigeria, that's the way I said, Benin Republic would have been under a military rule. And as it is, we are more in tune or inclined with democratic government, within the African continent. Just that we are seeing certain countries that are now being overthrown by the military. France, when coups like this happen, we expect that investigation should be carried out to know what actually caused or prompted it, and if we have some international interest in it. Coups are not just carried out alone. Yeah, it is after they are executed, if they succeed, then we begin to know who the actual planners are and who are the individuals or countries that are involved in it. And even if they fail, just like that of Benin, it will still also, after investigation, reveal the countries that are involved or supported such coup. Right? If France is practicing a democracy, I don't see any reason why they should come and begin to support a coup, in the African continent. Yeah. So let us see what happens. Our military are already there, trying to see how to stabilize the country. And I watched the president give a speech and all that. So these things are bound to happen because as a country, there are some persons that are disgruntled. Some persons are not happy with the happenings of certain things in their country. So it's the good thing that the coup failed, and the president is there back on his seat as the civilian president of Benin Republic.
Of course. And now, sort of related in an oblique kind of a way, is the fact that, there was talk about a military aircraft of ours being detained, was the way it was put out in social media, which is different from the way the military sources have referred to the matter. They've referred to it as a almost routine safety stop. By routine, I mean that when they were airborne and they discovered that there was a safety issue, convention determines that they must land at the very, very next opportunity to do so. It's not as if we were hearing that they were, shepherded down, they violated airspace of Burkina Faso. I don't know, not all of that. But the point, why I'm bringing that up, is the fact that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, these are now in a Sahelian grouping, and they are not very much friends with France now. Now, you have Benin Republic, which is firmly in ECOWAS, that has called on, Nigeria to come to its aid, and a coup has been foiled. That no doubt will have we will be ringing some chimes to these other brothers of ours in Africa who have determined for now, even though Nigeria has said the door is not locked, as soon as you people change your mind, you're welcome to come back into it. But what are the implications there? Because they've seen that if ECOWAS wants to move, it will move, and it has done so to save, or at least help prevent an extra democratic change of government. Do you think this has any effect on those African countries, what they call the Sahelian grouping of countries?
Okwori, you see, well, the ECOWAS, certain countries are members of the ECOWAS operation. Don't forget that when there was a military takeover in Burkina Faso, Mali, a suspension, they wrote them that they were suspending them from ECOWAS,
yes.
which of course is, it was a unanimous agreement by heads of states of government. It wasn't the fact that President Tinubu was the chairman of ECOWAS. It wasn't a personal decision that he took for the suspension of Burkina Faso and the other two countries. It was a unanimous agreement amongst the heads of states of government. Now, Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, at some point, they felt that, okay, we don't want to be under suspension anymore. Let us write a letter exiting from ECOWAS, right? Because for personal reasons best known to them, he wrote and exited from ECOWAS. Now, there are a lot of implications when it has to do with that. I faulted their exit because we expect that there are a lot of things that we can do together as a regional bloc, right? We're talking about terrorism here, and no country fights terrorism alone. The more that collaboration within or amongst countries. Right now, with the exit of Niger from the ECOWAS, you also saw the withdrew from the multinational Niger and the Benin Republic, with Nigeria fighting terrorism within the region here. If Burkina Faso wasn't under a military rule, right, I don't think the landing of our airplane, Air Force plane in Burkina Faso would have raised any issue or raised any dust, right? Now, themselves, Burkina Faso and Nigeria see themselves as enemies now, quote, because they don't belong to the same association bloc as they used to be. Any countries like Nigeria and some other countries that have been seen or perceived to be their enemies, of course, they will frown at it. Nigeria and Burkina Faso, as we speak, I don't think they are in any good term or in a cordial relationship as we are talking. So the moment they saw that an Air Force plane from Nigeria landed in their country, they did what they did. But the fact is, you don't expect a plane to land in another country without a permission. Here we are talking about an emergency that demands the next available airport whatever the country is to land. So the moment they discovered that Burkina Faso was the nearest country and they could have access to one of their airports to land, they had to land.
Exactly.
The emergency. They were on their way to Portugal, according to
reports.
The information from NAF, that's the Air Force, Nigerian Air Force headquarters. Right.
Let me apologize to our viewers. We seem to be having a challenge with the quality of sound. Just as Dr. Okwori is having something of a challenge, or at least he had, hearing us, you could see that the call, well, first of all, Dr. Okwori is joining us via Zoom. And so there's I think it's the wavelength or whatever, the bandwidth, just to explain. But our engineers are working on it as we speak. Sorry, Dr. Okwori, I just had to explain that because people will be wondering why is the audio trembling, so to speak. But I was making you were recapitulating, you were talking about the actual situation, contrary to something of a sensational Nigeria Nigeria entered the airspace of Burkina Faso illegally, and the plane has been apprehended and has been. Nah, it's nothing like that. It's just that social media is what it is. Well, most people will listen to the authorities, and the authorities in Nigeria have spoken and have said that the plane has since taken off. Once they landed, it was seen that it was a normal landing, just as you were explaining. Normal in the sense that there was a technical safety issue, which I understand that in the area of air travel and all of that kind of a thing, you don't take a chance. You got to land. And I think as soon as the Burkina Faso authorities saw that that was the case, according to news reports, it was a military organization, it was a military assignment. You've just explained that they were on the way to Portugal. So they came back to Nigeria, fixed their problem, and if I understood the reports I read quite well, they've resumed their duty. So that is that. But because of the prevalence of social media, all sorts of stories were sort of flying all over the place. But the other point you made, which I think is also what I was leading to, was that because Burkina Faso might not feel at this moment in time that they have the best of relations with Nigeria, not through anything that we have done, but just because we said no to a military intervention in a democratic government. That is the only reason. But I don't think that they can do anything because Nigeria hasn't really gone out of convention. Even if it were Burkina Faso the other way around, if their aircraft had entered our airspace in that kind of way, it wouldn't be a matter of illegal entry into the aircraft. I suppose they are looking at it from the point of view of, well, since President Tinubu, or Nigeria, or ECOWAS, is calling on people to come and thwart a military effort to take over governance, then they are not our friends. So there's a sense they are not our friends, or I don't know if they would go as far as that, or they would stay professional and understand that in spite of those differences, it is what it is. We still have to go about this whole thing professionally. But the more important thing is that we're talking about the Republic of Benin here, and Nigeria. It's, if not for the way the colonials divided up Africa, Benin and Nigeria could easily have been one country. But here we are now. We have the situation that we have on the ground, and I suppose there is no problem, apart from the fact that ECOWAS is not going to stand for coups, for any coups, no matter the reason. The Sahelian people, they see this as, well, it's not friendly, and Russia is in the mix there. But Nigeria did well, I believe. They called on Nigeria as part of ECOWAS, and you've made the point that it doesn't a President Tinubu action, so per se. It was ECOWAS, of which Nigeria is a member, taking action to defend its own.
Exactly.
It's just that President Tinubu, because he is the president, of course, and he made the, well, this is where one has to be careful. I was theorizing that because he is known to be quite buddy-buddy with the president of France, he seemed to have reached out for whatever assistance was necessary, and they complied, and Benin is safe for now. So this is how it should be going. It's the right thing, isn't it? It's the right thing. I've heard people say that on radio, on television, I've heard people say that Benin has its own issues. Why don't we leave them to sort out their own issues? Why are we interfering? I'm sure you don't see it like that. We are our brother's keeper, right? We have to be.
It's not about that they have their own issues. You see, it's a decision of ECOWAS. Whatever action we take there, if it goes beyond what we are seeing in Benin as we are talking, as we are speaking, the other countries around will also mobilize to deploy. They also mobilize to deploy their own troops, to see how to address these issues if it goes beyond what we are seeing now. I think, whatever the issues are, every country, there's this bilateral working relationship between countries. And here we are talking about a regional bloc. So whatever actions we are taking, Mr. President's request to the Senate that was approved for troops to be sent to Benin, it is not out of place. We are confronted with our own issues, but that's obligation, that obligation must be fulfilled. We are being confronted with our issues here in Nigeria. Sometimes this year, we sent about 157 troops to Guinea, right? So to Gambia as well. So this UN roles that we need to play, as in within the AU, within the ECOWAS and all that, we must fulfill it. Don't we have troops that live here to go on peacekeeping mission under the UN? Right. We also have police officers that leave the shores of this country under the UN to carry out such peacekeeping operations. Right. So, in as much as we have our issues, other countries that also play such roles also have their issues confronting them. Right. So, what that means is that whatever we are doing, in as much as we have our issues, it is obligatory looking at what ECOWAS needs to do when issues like this happen, right? When Adama Barrow won the election in Gambia, Jammeh refused to hand over powers to Adama Barrow. What happened? The ECOWAS came in and all that, and Nigeria, as a country, sent troops from here to see that there was smooth transition of power from Jammeh to Adama Barrow. Right, so we must be seen to play these roles, right? It is not out of place, and the Nigerians that are saying the contrary, I don't think they are up to date with when it has to do with such international obligations that countries need to play with regards to what we're experiencing in countries like Benin as we speak.